This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, folks, let's get it. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Gerard, the legend, Hans Olsen. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Scotty, I'm doing good. I'm just chilling here in the studio with Lloyd Cole. I'm talking about all things men's health and libido with my main man, Bailey. And
Bailey.
Mint Medical, he's going to be here in studio with us today. And I love talking to Bailey because I always kind of start to, broaden his shoulders a little bit and start thinking, all right, I'm still a young peacock. I still got what I need, what it takes. So I love hanging out with Bailey. I love Mint Medical. And I loved my night last night. Jeez, do we have some incredible sports entertainment in this state with the Utah Mammoth. Scotty, I'm just telling you, it is as prime of sports entertainment as you can get. And, I've been around it. I've been around a lot of different sports and everything from boxing and UFC events and everything from football to basketball to NBA for years. Obviously, football's king. And calling a football game, calling a BYU football game is as much adrenaline as I can get since leaving football. That's it. I mean, it's the peak. But as far as sitting down and watching a sporting event and feeling it, like, geez, you're feeling the hits and you're feeling the gloves getting thrown off and you are watching the fist throw and you're seeing the fans get pumped and you're seeing the clock tick down to 30 seconds and wondering if they can get it done. And you're seeing a 3-goal deficit and all the things that came last night. And you're like, this is peak sports entertainment, man. The Mammoth are as good as it gets when it comes to sports entertainment.
So I know where you were. I know who you were hanging with. So I know your seats were probably good, but kind of set the scene on how close you were to some of those crazy goals last night.
Yeah, and let me just a shout out to Sean Dunroe. Love you, Shawnee. Thank you for having me and the family out. Close, very close. And in fact, close enough that the last, I guess it'd be, the last 2 goals by Keller, the one to equalize it with 30 seconds left, and then the one to win it was opposite side of the ice. But the one to equalize it, so this is the deal. He came to my seat side, and he had puck on stick. And I looked at his face. I saw his eyes widen as he saw the baseline attack, and he saw whatever the goalie was doing. The goalie was positioning himself, and he saw what the goalie was doing, and I saw a big smile. I'm not even kidding you. I saw it. And he attacks baseline, and he does that quick flick with his stick, and he puts it over the right shoulder of the goalie opposite side of the attack, and he ties that thing up 4-4. And it was like, it can't get any better. Keller just showed the highest level of hockey against one of the world's greatest goalies in a split second to be able to tie that game up. And just a couple of other things that were incredible. There was an empty net effort with 2 minutes left. An empty net effort, 2 minutes left, and the Flyers actually got the puck on the Mammoth side of the ice with what looked like a breakaway. I don't know what he was doing. I mean, he should have flicked it because he was already half ice, if not past half ice. He should have just flicked it at the net because it's empty net. And he went to try to kind of reestablish control of it, and a Mammoth defender was able to get his stick in there and knock the fast break on an empty net loose just to give Keller the opportunity to square it up. So, yeah, it just – the whole thing, man, was just exciting. And Philly came out and scored 2 goals instantly and kind of dampened the whole place and
Oh, yeah.
dampened what the night felt like. But everybody sticks around at those NHL games. Nobody leaves, because what I'm learning, Scotty, is even though the average score might be 3-4 or somewhere in that realm, when a team figures it out, they can flick 3 in the net within a minute and a half. It can almost be instant. For instance, the Mammoth had back-to-back goals. I think it was in the second. They had back-to-back goals to get within 1, and those back-to-back goals were probably in a time frame of 1 minute. And so what I'm finding is, and maybe soccer's the same, I haven't had as much patience with soccer as I do with hockey, because you can throw off your gloves and you can break a jawbone and slam a dude to the ice, and you can truck dudes and nobody's faking an injury. Really, that's what keeps me so much away from soccer, is the fragility of the players is just obnoxious. But soccer is beautiful in the fact that when a team gets hot and they can put serve in box and they can get those opportunities, it can come fast. And that's what I'm learning about the NHL, is when a team figures it out and they get themselves close to the crease and they get a goalie leaning because they scored one way, it's just like hitting a pass rush move. I've been hitting you with a bull rip on the outside for the last 3 passes, and here I go, bull rip to club rip to the inside, and I got you. And I just saw the gamesmanship. I saw the hitting. There was some hard hitting, man. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Your boy Bill is 100% right. Philly's a bit dirty. Like, they're a bit dirty.
Oh, yeah.
And the Mammoth handed dirty back cold. It was awesome. So it's an incredible game. And, yeah, the seats were great, and I do appreciate Sean. And I'll tell you, it's the more I go to these Mammoth games, the more I just fall in love with them.
So I want to know, if we went back in time and we took some elite photographer back to like 1997 or 1998 at BYU, and as you mentioned, you've been setting a guy up with a bull rush, and then all of a sudden you come with a swim and you have a beeline on Moses Moreno or whoever quarterback you were going up against. If they took a shot, would they see a smile on the face of Hans Olsen? Like, do you think when you had that moment and you knew you had a guy lined up, that there would have been a smile on your face?
For sure. 1,000%. When you hit that breakaway, and the smile isn't coming from happy. The smile is coming from what you know is about to happen. Your team is going to erupt. The stadium's going to erupt. Like, it's the anxious anticipation of what you're about to experience. And as far as a defensive lineman goes, and I only played defensive line through college, as far as a defensive lineman goes, it's really hard to beat it. I think the only thing that would beat it was my scoop and score for the touchdown. And that's a unique experience. That was in Qualcomm Stadium, where the Chargers were playing at the time, and it's in front of the San Diego State fans, so it wasn't the same eruption. But there's no question you'll see something on a football field, especially as you get a little bit more veteran, that the whole thing slows down and you know what's about to happen. You just know it. You're like, this is happening, and you can't help but wear it on your face. But, man, and the other thing is how quick that overtime score came from Keller.
Yeah.
And the assist was from Gunther, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember if the assist came from Gunther on the equalizer at 30 seconds mark before end of regulation, or if the assist came from Gunther on the overtime. But those back-to-back scores tells you how big the net got for Keller and how helpless the goalie got against Keller. And that did happen with Philly against Veggie in the first period of that game. There was no question. I felt like Veggie was off his game a bit, And I felt like Philly had his number a bit until they didn't. And, the other thing.
Until they didn't.
Until they didn't. The other thing, Scotty, I'm starting to recognize when you need physicality, you've got to have the right guys that can step up with physicality. Like, you got to have dudes that will throw off the gloves and they'll go at the drop of a hat. And I think it was it Hayton that threw off the gloves? I think it was Barrett Hayton that threw off the gloves. Is that right, Lloyd?
Not sure on that one.
I'm pretty sure it was Barrett Hayton that threw off the gloves. But and by the way, it was McBain. Yes, sorry. It was Jack McBain. And by the way, when he threw off the gloves and the place was going nuts, that's right, because I was going to tweet out that McBain threw the train. He started throwing the jackhammer on the guy, and the dude went down. And those fights mean something. And I think that fight spurred the team. I think Philly was trying to get physical. There was a bunch of chip shots and rabbit punches and jabs. And finally, McBain threw off the gloves and was like, all right, everybody, let's go ahead and take a ringside seat. Let me knock this guy out, and then we'll go on to win this thing. And that's so unique to a sport, Scotty. Okay, let's go back to football. Think about it. Well, I mean, I could almost go to the BYU. Who's the Chanticleers team?
Oh, the Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina. I could almost go to the BYU Coastal Carolina game when they were able to actually take shots on Zach Wilson. You remember that? When Zach threw a pick and two dudes laid hits on him that should have been illegal and should have gotten a flag but didn't. But think of this. Let's say you and I are playing for the Utah State Aggies, right? And we are the two defensive ends. And we're playing Fresno State. And they've just scored 3 consecutive touchdowns on us. Think about how, if we were known as the bruisers and we were kind of the bad A's of college football, and we're playing that defensive end position, and we're like, okay, these guys are abusing us. They've been cut blocking us, and I'm going to find their biggest bully. I'm going to pull his helmet off, and I'm going to knock him out in front of this entire stadium. I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to drive his nose through the back of his head. I'm going to make him bleed out of both ears. I'm going to make him have snot bubbles. I'm going to make him have to eat through a straw. I'm going to make his mom sad, his grandma not recognize him. I'm going to break out every tooth he's ever grown. I'm going to make sure that he can't breathe properly. I'm going to separate his eye. Like, everything that comes when you're about to drop down on a guy and fight. And you could actually do it in football. Think about what that would do for momentum, what it would do for their psyche. If I knocked out their biggest bully and the quarterback, and let's say their biggest bully is their center, and their quarterback just saw their center go down in a lump of useless skin, and the rest of the team was too scared to do anything about it because you've got my back, and they don't want to start this thing into anything more than me breaking the jaw of their center. That's what this hockey world is. Okay, you got momentum on me. All right, where's your tough guy? Let's take this to the rawest form of sport. Bare knuckle brawl. Let's go. Who wants to do it? And it's such a fun addition. The crowd loves it. The coaches love it. Bill Armstrong, the general manager of the Mammoth. Now, I think that he's limited in a certain amount of what he can say on air with us, but you hear it every time we talk to Bill about it. He's like, oh, yeah, I love it. You don't have to teach a baby shark to bite. Nope. He goes back to it. But it is such a sweet layer to the world of hockey that can equalize momentum, and it can actually do more than equalize it. It can swing it back in your favor, and I think that Jack McBain did that last night.
Oh, there's no doubt. And that's, those are individual moments and parts of a game that you just don't get in any other sport. You're right. Like, there's no football equivalent of this. And I know that there's a little bit of self-enforcement that goes on out there on the field that the average fan doesn't really know or appreciate that can go on that may be unseen to a certain extent, but nothing to this level. And to say, you know what, no, we're done with this, and, let's go. And you can shift the momentum of a game just like that. I mean, it's just, it's fantastic. It's really been fun to learn and to grow a certain level of appreciation for. But to your point, there's nothing like watching that live. And they do a great job. The SEG does a tremendous job putting together a great TV product. I've watched a ton of these games over the last 2 years on TV, but there is a certain element of going to a game live that you just don't really appreciate how physical, nasty, and incredibly athletic these guys are unless you see it up close in person. And it's just it's worth it.
It's great, and it is so fun, and it's extremely exciting, and I'm just hoping that Utah continues to embrace it, because I really do envision a day. I know that we're a Jazz town. I envision a day that this is a Mammoth town. I think Utahns are going to embrace the Mammoth and become more of an NHL fan base than they are an NBA fan base. I didn't believe that would be possible, because I've just known this state and covered it for so long, and I know where people stand, and I know how they feel about their Jazz. And I know that the Jazz are always going to have a great portion and a great support base here in Utah. But I think, and it might even be true now, I think I put a poll out on it. Are you an NHL fan or an NBA fan? If you had to be one of the two. I think the NHL already won the poll, but it's recency bias and the Jazz are down, and it's easy to say it, even though you might not be. But the truth is, I think by the time the Winter Olympics roll into town in 2034, is that right, Scotty? 2034? Yep. I think by the time the Olympics roll into town in 2034, this is going to be a rabid NHL state. And I think that the tentacles of the NHL excitement are going to continue to bury into these NBA fans that may be done with the NBA as a whole in general. The NBA has gotten so political, and these NBA coaches feel so emboldened to try to speak their mind and how they feel about certain situations that completely separates a country. And there might be a lot of people that are sick of that. The NHL doesn't deal in that, man. They don't deal in that. It's not about messages. It's not about having, a certain message and supporting a certain group and making sure that we stand for rights. And it's like, no, we get on the ice, and what we're trying to do is not break our jaw. We're trying to break somebody else's jaw. We're trying to score a couple of goals, and we're trying to play a frickin' sport here. It's a really beautiful thing to see, man. The NBA at one point was that. When Michael Jordan said, yeah, everybody buys Nikes. When everybody kept their head down and they played, and it was just all ball and all business. That's the NHL right now. It is not the NBA right now. That is the NHL right now. And I think it's going to continue to grasp the hearts and the mind and the wallet of the Utah sports fan. I truly believe it's going to, Scotty. More Hanson Scotty coming up.
Looking for the latest on the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, and Aggies? Yeah, we've got you covered. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hans, we have some tickets to give away. A 5-pack of tickets, see the Jazz and the Clippers game on January 27th. Listen all day for a keyword in each show. The more keywords you enter, the better chance you have to win. So listen all day long, and when you hear the keyword at kslsports.com/contest and earn an extra entry. And because we care so much, we're going to give you 2, not 1, but 2 entries today. You can go to kslsports.com/contest, and you can either add the word dunk or Sensabaugh, or better yet, add both, and that doubles your chance to win those tickets. Again, KSLSports.com. The keywords, we're giving you 2 of them, dunk, and then also Sensabaugh. It's that simple. Yukip Nurkic, they're talking about Ace Bailey. Jazz coming off that win against the Timberwolves, but Utah Mammoth stole the spotlight last night, and you added up the point total. When you're looking at 17 out of available 20 points, that gives you a nice little cushion as you're just continuing to stockpile points in the bank for that postseason run down the stretch when March, April comes to town.
Okay, so let's put this in perspective for people. So you go and you earn those 17 points. And by the way, how you earn 17 points, through 10 games, you win every game except for 2, and then you split and then you split points when you get an overtime loss. So you get 1 point off the overtime loss. That's how you put the 17 together. So to put it in perspective, if the Utah Mammoth were playing in the Pacific Division of the Western Conference, they have to be in the Pacific Division, and the postseason started today, they would be given a guaranteed spot as one of the top 3 teams in the Pacific Division. Because they play in the Central Division, where 3 of the best teams in the NHL by a stretch preside, they currently sit at 56 points. So they would actually be one of the wild card draw, one of the 2 teams that gets the wild card opportunity out of the Central Division in the Western Conference with their 56 points. Any NBA fan out there that's wondering how this works, it doesn't work off wins and losses like it does in the NBA. It just works off a point system. You get 2 points per win, 1 point per overtime loss, and 0 points if you lose. And the Mammoth have compiled 56 points now. So that gives them a really good opportunity to be able to find their way into the postseason. Now, this is why. They'll now start a 4-game road trip. Scotty, if they are able to put together 2 points in this 4-game road trip, Nashville, Tampa Bay, Florida, and Carolina, if they put together 2 points, I would be happy, because then they come back and they've got a 6-game homestand. Vancouver, Detroit, Colorado, Minnesota, Chicago. Now, so everybody knows the 3 teams in the Mammoth division that are ahead of the Mammoth are the Dallas Stars, the Minnesota Wild, and the Colorado Avalanche. Okay? So that's the 3 teams that are currently ahead of them in their own division. Well, you get to see in this homestand, you get to see Minnesota, Colorado, and Dallas. I can't even put into terms what that 6-game homestand means. I think it means if you play well and the fans show up and show out, and by the way, you're not going to find a better environment. I actually tweeted it out. I think it was Bill that said it's the best home ice advantage in the NHL. I tweeted it that kind of out. Like, it's got to be, because I can't imagine anything being better or crazier. They've done a really good job with in-game ops to get fans going crazy. But if you are able to come out of that 6-game homestand with, let's just say, 9 points, 9 points out of that 6-game homestand, and you still won from Dallas and you still won from Minnesota, then you could realistically be right there in the race with those 3 teams in your division. In the 3 teams, Colorado, Minnesota, and Dallas. You could be right there. That's how important January 31st to March 1st. It's going to run the month of February, because remember there's the break in there. And you could find yourself right there in the mix with those 3 teams. So it's critical. The upcoming stretch here is critical for the Mammoth.
Oh, there's no other way to put it. And the fact is, everything you're putting in the bank right now, everything you're stocking away, and it's like, all right, look, you have your check you get every couple weeks, and you got money that goes to your mortgage, your car payment, everything else, and you're divvying it up, and then you try to take that 10 to 15% and you just stash it away. and you're just stashing those away just because there's going to be a rainy day out there where things hit the fan, the transmission goes out, or the kid needs braces or whatever the case is, and you need to make a withdrawal. Well, yeah, hope that you have the money in the bank to make that withdrawal because let's be honest, the Mammoth aren't going to stay this hot. It's not going to happen. And you talk about that 6-game homestand. If they get 9 points, put it on the board, the Mammoth are going to the playoffs. I firmly believe that. But if for whatever reason it goes sideways, this 17-point out of 20-point run that the Mammoth have been on, you look at that and you say, okay, that has given us a little bit of leeway. That has given us a little bit of opportunity if we hit the skids for a moment to try to right the ship. I don't think people understand the landscape of hockey being the way that it is, and you explain it beautifully, and we explain it all the time because I think it's important for people to understand it all the time, how valuable this point system is and how different it is from what we're used to in the NFL and the NBA and college football and everything else. This is a much different system. So as much points as you can tally at this point, it is so incredibly critical because, look, how many times have we talked to Bill Armstrong and we bring him on and we're like, Bill, man, your team is red hot. How great is this? And he's like, I know, we're kicking butt, man. We're playing. And then a week later, we're like, Bill, man, it's, you lost 3 out of 4 and it turns just like that in hockey.
It does.
The whiplash that happens in a course of a season is just dramatic. So as much hey, you can put in the barn right now, man, it's worth its weight in gold.
Okay, so let's talk about the hay. There's 64 points left available, okay? 64 points left available through the rest of this season. Right now, the Utah Mammoth stand at 56 points. 64 available, they stand at 56 points. 97 points and 96 points are what got you the wild card, or what got St. Louis actually the wild card last year. And people were heartbroken because St. Louis went on this type of run that we're watching the Mammoth on right now. They went on this type of run, but they did it at the very end of the season, and they separated themselves. 64 points available. You sit at 56. You've got to find a way to get 40 of those available.
Trust me, when he get this stuff.
You got to find a way to get 40 of those available 64 points. 40 of the available 64, and you're probably going to see the Utah Mammoth that were the Utah Hockey Club, that was the Arizona Coyotes. You're going to finally see them back in the postseason. And I don't know the history of the Coyotes, Scotty, but I think it would be a very welcomed sight for guys like Keller, guys like Cooley, who's going to get back eventually. I mean,
oh yeah,
I think Cooley is not too far away from getting back on the ice, but also some of the other big dogs, Schmaltzy finally getting back, Dylan Gunther getting back, J.J. Paterka, how nice would that be for him? First year on the trade, getting back. And by the way, I circle him as a guy that really needs to pick up the pace. Like he's got to become that threat off the right wing that they brought him in to be. But to be able to see Sergei get that opportunity, Krause get that opportunity, Veggie get that chance in goal to see the postseason, because that's the pinnacle, man. That's why they're doing this. And that's why the fans continue this, man. That's why the fans want to see it too, because what is the one thing in the first year that you, Lloyd, and myself found out the NHL was coming? What was the first thing we did? We jumped into the postseason. And even when we weren't NHL fans and there's an NHL postseason game on, you still watch it because it's freakish speed, it's insane physicality, and we all want to see the Mammoth in that moment just to see, do they rise to the occasion? Do they shrink to the occasion? How do your top scorers go? Right now, Clayton Keller's your top scorer and put 2 more in the net last night with 49 points. Who are these guys in the postseason play? And I know Bill stops just short of it. The general manager of the Mammoth stops just short of saying it's a must. Like, it's a have to. Scotty, this is a must for these guys. The resources have been put in. The money has been put in. The fans have been put in. Everything has been given to them to succeed. It's time, man. Crap or get off the pot and do it this year. And let this be the year, man, that the Utah Mammoth fans get to experience big-time postseason play.
Well, make no mistake, and I've been, you and I, we work for the Miller Company. We work for SEG. We've been inside those companies. Now, we weren't with SEG when the Mammoth came to town, obviously. We were already over here at Bonneville, but we know those guys. I mean, we know Jim Olson, Chris Barney, Ryan Smith. Like, we know who the makeup of these guys, and we know that they foster competition. Look, it's one big happy family over there. Make no mistake. They root for each other. They're fired up for each other. But make no mistake, Danny Ainge and Bill Armstrong are looking at each other and being like, all right, you've upped the level here. We got to up our level. Like, there is good, healthy, fun competition. And make no mistake, the Mammoth absolutely want to punch their ticket to the playoffs and say, oh, hey, guess what? All you Jazz players, you want to come and see our playoff game? Come on over. We know a guy. We can get you good tickets. Before you go out to Cancun, let's come on by here and enjoy some playoff atmosphere. I mean, it's all in good fun, but these are competitive dudes. And within that organization, I guarantee you, they're like, hey, you know what? We may be the new kids on the block, but we're going to introduce this town to postseason hockey and this fan base that's been dying for meaningful playoff games in April and May that we have not seen here for a long, long time. And we get to be the organization to provide it to a rabid fan base. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Let's go. Let's do it.
It's going to blow up, man. And I want to go back to our conversation with Bill on Tuesday. Remember, he actually brought up a stat and a number that I was not overly familiar with. Was it the goal differential? Remember,
yeah.
He said he gave us a number. Was it 7? And he said that it's reflecting past that and that they feel that it's something about teams with a certain goal differential, and I think the number was 7. Every one of them had made the postseason for whatever it was, 20 years or 30 years or something, some crazy number. And right now, the Mammoth exist in that. So there's a lot of good signs for them moving forward.
What's missed coming up next? Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Number 1. Miss any part of the show? Every moment of every show is available in podcast form by searching Hans and Scotty on your favorite podcasting platform or online at KSLSports.com. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for another edition of What You May Have Missed right here on the Zone. NFL coming up on the Final Four. Nick Ferguson's going to join us in our next segment, Hans. But the finalists for the Players of the Year were released, and a finalist for the Offensive Player of the Year. Let's see. Puka Nacua is on that list. One of 4 players. Or actually one of 5 players that are finalists for the Offensive Player of the Year. Christian McCaffrey, Drake May are the other finalists as well. So it might be tough to walk away with that, but you're hard-pressed to find a wide receiver playing better football right now than Puka Nacua.
I don't think it's going to be tough. I think Puka gets it. Drake is good, but I think in terms of who's played the best in their position and had the most importance for the offensive production, I think it's Puka Nacua, and I think Puka has really just separated himself overall. I don't think
Drake May's going to might win MVP. That's how much they think of him right now.
And I don't think that a receiver has ever won an MVP. Has it? I don't think that they have.
Okay, well, this is two different. There's MVP and then there's Offensive Player of the Year. He is not a finalist for MVP.
Right.
He is a finalist for Offensive Player.
No, yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, I know that, but
okay.
Has a wide receiver ever won the NFL MVP?
I don't think so. Probably. I mean, it would either be like a guy that put up crazy numbers like Randy Moss or Jerry Rice.
That Randy Moss year with Minnesota, or no, with New England.
Yeah.
With Oakland, I think he did.
Nah,
Yeah,
don't you dare! Don't you do that.
But the point I'm trying to make is, I don't think that he would receive the NFL MVP. That probably goes to a quarterback because they've tried to brand it that way. But I think he's a shoo-in. I think he's going to get offensive MVP, which would be pretty incredible. Have we seen a offensive or defensive MVP from this state?
I was born and raised in the state. No. You've got like Steve Young, guys who played here. Yes, but
raised.
No. But raised, no.
Yeah, I think that it would be a pretty incredible honor for the state. I think it'd be pretty cool. More Hans and Scotty coming up.